hairs. Are you a Trotskyite? Are you a Marxist? Are you a Leninist? We could split all hairs. But ultimately, they're fascists. And at that intersection of arrogance and ignorance and confidence comes virtue. See, they see themselves as virtue, and they must control you for your own good. You're too stupid in their minds for your freedom, for your rights, for your opinion. And we live this as we walk around with these new masks on, afraid of the little air and someone sneezing. So it works because they've perfected the propaganda and they inundate you with it. It starts off vague at first, then it's to the point where you think it's normal. And now there is a push throughout the country to have mail-in voting. Why? Why would any political party push a system that can't be audited unless it was trying to cheat it? I have never understood. This is not 1868 anymore. We have at our fingertips, most of us walk around with a computer so powerful, it's more powerful than what NASA used to launch the first space exploration. This is in our fingertips. How could it be in this country in the year 2020? There is no way for a voter to make sure his vote was counted correctly. It's because it doesn't matter if it's counted correctly. Because once they can steal that right from you, they can run around and claim to be all for democracy and supporting the will of the people, but you never really know. It's as funny as when Saddam Hussein used to hold his elections. You remember that? How did he win? 99%. You mean just like Madigan? It's the same ratio Madigan wins by when he runs in his district. But yet, the cry for a system that can be purified through the voter's ability. I'm not suggesting everybody can see how you vote. I understand that secret ballots are important. And that's why going to your polling place is important, because that place is where I'm supposed to be absent of all intimidation. But yet, if you mail things to my house, they could get stolen, right? That's just the easiest way. They could be counterfeited, sure. Or Mike Madigan and his Irish mafia of thugs that all happen to be working for a municipality can intimidate me, especially in those kinds of neighborhoods. I'll break your windows. You don't vote the way I want. And they get to watch you vote. In fact, there was a tweet that triggered this by Trump, and it was about Nevada. Nevada met on a weekend and on a Sunday passed a law that now they're going to just do all mail-in voting. And in the law, here's something I find interesting. If you're old, if you're sick, or if you don't feel like it, you can delegate somebody else. It's legal for me to tell Josh, I'm tired. I don't feel good. I got a headache. Could you fill this out for me? What do you mean, could you fill this out for me? So what you've done is invite the fraud because you want it. See, this is what no one's talking about. Mike Madigan is a mafia don for 50 years because he loves it. It's power. He constructs Rube Goldberg systems to keep himself in that power. But what he loves most of all is he walks down that street like a man. And in that neighborhood, he's a god. Forget about the fact he's a fraud and a crook and on the take. We all know that. Everybody in the country knows it. But in those neighborhoods, he's Don Cheech. He puts the money in the statue and he walks around and he's idolized by everybody from little kids to old men who think they owe him for their life. The sad part is they kind of do. So this is normal in Chicago. We know it. Listen, one of my favorite jokes, buddy of mine, Ma died the same time my ma died. He said, what I'm really sick about is all her life she was a Republican, and now she just became part of the Democrat base. And we laugh because it's the truth. And sure enough, she got a stimulus check from Republicans. So it's bipartisan skullduggery. That's why they all push just enough to get our attention. But nobody puts forward an idea. Now, a computer can do anything. It's limitless. Why not have it kick out a random number that I can go home and from any internet connection check how my vote was counted? I'm not asking for people to see how other people vote. Why is there no push to see how you vote? Because once you go into that system with those old ladies from the neighborhood who you don't know if they use the bathroom or wear a diaper like Biden, you don't know. You got to hope that everything goes out okay and they got the kid there and they got the FBI guys in their raincoats. and they got the union guys on the sidewalk. But once you cast your ballot, nobody knows what happens. We just have to trust it. Now, the idea that we have kids that can hack Twitter accounts and Facebooks and steal Bitcoins and rob banks. But no, not those union-made voting machines. It's off the table. They are beyond reproach, and everything is great. Well, every once in a while, Chuck Gowdy with the Amish Lady Hips, he does a really good interview. Once in a while, when he's not investigating why flower deliveries are late for Valentine's Day.
Carol, as Illinois authorities gear up for next month's primary, an influence campaign is emerging, attempts to disrupt democracy across the country in 2020. Tonight, the I-Team investigating a problem that's moved beyond just securing the ballot box. Chicago election authorities test this brand new voting equipment with sample ballots.
Should ketchup ever be served on hot dogs?
Using made-up questions and fake candidates to get ready for real challenges as 2020's election season heats up.
We feel that we have the most comprehensive contingency plan anywhere in the United States. We have all the confidence in the world that with the paper ballots that we can recover from anything.
In 2016, Illinois was ground zero for foreign election interference. Federal authorities charging a Russian military hacking group with penetrating the state's voter registration database in the summer before the presidential election. It's still unknown why the hackers targeted us.
That really turned our world upside down here.
Now, election officials here have hired 10 so-called cyber navigators to make sure every county and city's security is capable of defending against potential threats.
All it's going to take is any type of cyber incident at any election authority anywhere in the United States for this to erupt into a national story.
If we do our job correctly, nobody will see us.
The Illinois National Guard's specially trained cybersecurity unit based here in Bloomington is tasked with helping defend against Election Day intrusions. But the I-Team has learned they'll be deployed near Washington, D.C. in the fall, so they're having to train new team members.
So they don't have a solution. When you listen to this, they're all running around pretending that this thing is secure, but it's not. And that's the system we have. Why would you weaken it with mail ballots? Is there any evidence that a mail-in ballot cannot be counterfeited? Do you understand how easy it is to print up a barcode? How easy it is to print up a mail-in ballot? I mean, we all remember when that senator, the old comedian from Saturday Night Live, when he got elected, they found 600 ballots in the trunk of his friend's car, and they counted it. I mean, this is America. These elections are about our freedom, about our liberty. Can you not feel it being eroded and voted away? We're in the year 2020, and you've just realized you don't own anything, not even the right to your life or your opinion, as touted by walk in a store without a mask and tell me how it goes. I personally like the attention, but I'm sick that way. Other people don't. They feel intimidated, and everybody thinks it's a lot warmer when you're a follower. We led the world on the idea of every man and his unalienable rights. These politicians, they feel we're their property. They're responsible for us. Pritzker, you responsible for me? Fetzo, you responsible for me? Because in my world, you're not half the man anybody I grew up with is. You're nothing. Not only aren't you responsible for me, you don't get to rule over me. But I'm now a small voice in the wind. I'm the minority in a country built on you and the idea of the Enlightenment. This isn't an election anymore. We're voting on the Enlightenment. Or do you just want to be part of the crowd? Just pick a tyrant and just say, okay, I'm better off because now J.B. Pritzker is responsible for me. He's not responsible for himself, the fetzo, let alone me. It's the audacity. This used to be what reporters questioned. This isn't a sentence some real estate broker on a radio show would point out. 20 years ago, this would have led the news that the Illinois governor said he is responsible for you. We used to be a nation of independent people, of people who enjoyed their freedom, enjoyed their rights. Now you're just a bunch of scared sheep. I can't even believe it's the same place. But I'm going to go down this way. I am not going to capitulate. That's the promise I make. Now, for some people, they say no. No. Some people are too rich. We need to put in a system to take their money. Some people are too free. We need to make laws to restrain them. Unfortunately, that's become the new America. And this voting issue is the main one. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to open the phone lines. How do you feel about the legitimacy of mail-in ballots? And do you have any idea how your grandmother, who died 50 years ago, is going to end up voting in the 2020 election? 312-642-5600. We'll be back.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election right here on AM 560. The Answer.
For more than 20 years, investigative filmmaker Tim Mahoney has traveled across the globe in search of patterns of evidence to support some of the Old Testament's most miraculous events. Now, with the Red Sea Miracle Part 2, Journey to Egypt and Beyond, as Tim interviews some of the world's foremost experts to discover the truth. Is there evidence of how and where the host of Israelites could have traveled as recorded in the Bible? Is there evidence of the Egyptian army's demise in the Red Sea? If you've seen the first part of this investigation of the Red Sea Miracle, you won't want to miss the continuation. The results of his pursuits are faith-affirming and fascinating. You must see Patterns of Evidence, the Red Sea Miracle, Part 2. To see this powerful documentary and others in the series, go to salemnow.com and use the promo code Chicago for 20% off. That's salemnow.com, promo code Chicago for 20% off.
Daily stress is a big deal. Fact is, the terrible impact of stress is very deadly and shortens our lives. Stressed individuals attract diseases, just like blood in the water attracts sharks. Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. I'm the show host of Health Quest Radio, the longest-running health news and science show in Chicago. And for over 33 years, we share practical concepts from a natural healthcare perspective to minimize the need for all those dangerous drugs and risky surgeries. Today, it's our dirt-cheap adrenal stress index test. No blood, just spit. You know, most people flunk on their first go-around signaling adrenal gland distress. And then following our stress-busting strategies, most individuals pass their second test with flying colors. So if you can spare a little spit, call and purchase your first dirt-cheap adrenal stress index test, and we'll hold that same special low price for your follow-up test. Call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. 800-794-1855. And be sure to tune in to Health Quest Radio this Saturday morning at 11.
Issues of human suffering and societal injustice play incessantly on every outlet around us. Yet it seems like everywhere you turn, there are more unanswered questions and few honest explanations about why so many of our liberties are under attack. How do we regain order and a sense of normalcy? Find clear answers to the most important questions we face as a nation when you stream Morality in the 21st Century on Salem Now. This on-demand video discussion with syndicated media host Dennis Prager and distinguished theologian Dr. Wayne Grudem gives you a well-defined understanding about the enemies within our institutions and a vibrant roadmap to protect our God-given liberties. In Morality in the 21st Century, Dennis Prager and Wayne Grudem confront the toughest social issues of today by digging deep into religious and political history, and through never-before-told personal stories, provide a clear direction for a visionary future. Visit salemnow.com to stream Morality in the 21st Century and type in the code Chicago for a 20% discount. That's salemnow.com.
I ever tell you about the 1984 Riviera sunroof? I ever tell you? A little hair long in the back that was in style. They didn't call it a mullet then. Just sexy. Hair blowing in. I had a great time, man. You don't know what living is. You don't even know. Look at you walking around with your mask on. Kathleen, thanks for calling the show. How are you?
I'm good, Sean. How are you?
Good, good.
So, I think I said you were being a little paranoid. I was an election judge for 10 years. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people on the voter rolls for every precinct they lived in because you could only vote in the precinct or the district that you lived in. Mm-hmm. So if we want to get the most people to vote, we have to send everybody an application, not a ballot, an application. And when the living people send their application in with their signature,
Kathleen,
we can compare it to their roll.
Kathleen,
yes,
that's nice in a fairy tale world of
well, that's
letters.
What they're doing.
But the reality is, this is Illinois. Dead people win. Dead people vote. Dead people are on the
In
roll.
it's a good story.
It's
you
a
know,
good, really,
vote early, vote often.
right.
Yes, I was an election
so
judge.
because
you can't.
so you're
Once
saying
your
that,
name is picked,
hey, Kathleen,
it goes in a different book.
I'm
and voted.
I'm on the wrong address, Kathleen. Did you know that? Me. When I go to vote, it's the
Sure.
wrong address. So,
Sure.
so if I don't live in the state and I come back and vote, is it legal? If I'm on another one in a different state, is it legal? Because I'm on the one in Illinois. I'm still here. Is it legal? Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Well,
Kathleen.
how
I'm
many
being
states-
paranoid. That's who's the election judge. There's an election judge. See what a stickler she is for the truth? Just a stickler. But I'm being paranoid. It's a joke to me when people deny that dead people don't vote, that the infirm don't vote, that there aren't gangsters walking around polling places outside. Really? Because what are they supposed to be, 500 feet? They're on the sidewalk. They're 10 feet from the door. But that's an election judge. I'm so sick of listening to BS, told like it's honesty, told like it's truth. Illinois is a joke in the nation for voter fraud. Yet we're going to send out ballots to all those that are living. And what about the counterfeiting? Anybody concerned with that? Well, barcodes, they're real hard to print up. I mean, you have to be either a computer illiterate or in on the scam, or you benefit from it. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Mike, Northside, how are you?
How you doing, buddy? The lady that just called, August of 1990, my grandmother died. She voted absentee October of 1990, a couple months later. I went in to take her off. Oh, yeah, she voted. I go, how did she vote? She died 3 months ago. Well, she voted absentee a month ago. From the grave? Which party? Democrat. No, she always voted Republican. So it's not a wives' tale. Kathleen ought to go back to watching reruns of Lawrence Welk. I wanted to say, forget with these paper ballots. This is a party, the Democratic Party. They couldn't protect 3 Columbus statues, 6 files from when Daley's nephew killed David Kochman, 24 hired trucks, 33,000 emails, but they want to control 120 million mail-in ballots. They can't even decide which bathroom they're going to use today.
You know what's interesting, Mike? I'd like a little poll of how many municipal employees in these Democrat hubs, how many of the employees, them, their family, and their kids all vote the same way. Now, I don't know about you, but I like the differences in my family. I like when I don't agree with my wife or my daughter questions me. How could it be in all these neighborhoods, you know, the ones like Mike Madigan's, how could it be they all just have the same opinion? And you're going to tell me that these election judges do their job? They walk around or they sit in the chair. Oh, yeah, I know you. You're Betty's nephew, right? I mean, it's a scam. Why do you think they fight to avoid looking at ID when you go and vote? Because they're in on the scam. Mike, I love the call. You know that. Andrew, Aurora.
Yeah. So, you know, this issue it's not even a fear. It's actually become a reality. I'm an independent. I've always been registered as an independent voter. My wife has been registered as a Republican, my in-laws as Republicans. I received an application for a mail-in ballot. They received nothing. And the same thing happened to our neighbor just this week.
Yeah.
Their son was registered at one time as a Democrat and then later registered as an independent, and both parents registered as Republicans. The son got 2 applications sent to him.
Andrew, I mean, it's a joke, Andrew. Isn't it an insult to your intelligence? Why is there not a system where you walk in with your ID, with the license from that area, and you say, hi, I'm Joe Materazzi. Here's where I live. Look at my license. Can I vote now? Right? I mean, that's how it should be. But common sense is their enemy. Is their enemy. Because you know what, Andrew? They're all mafia. They're all very important with the system they got, real corrupt. And they love it that way. And that's what it is. It's what could they do to put up a barrier and protect their little kingdom. That's why there's no push for any honesty or integrity. It's just common sense. I'm here to vote. Here's my ID. I don't know how we ever give up this argument. You don't want to show your ID to vote? Well, then you don't vote. But how convenient it would be to have a system that just mails you a piece of paper and it's in the law. Somebody else could fill it out. Don't worry about it. I gave them my permission. Yeah, that has no no idea. There's going to be no fraud there. In fact, that is the most legitimate way you can do it. If you're in Venezuela or some other third world hellhole where the only way you can get ahead is if the government in charge approves of you. And boy, oh boy, if that doesn't sum up Chicago, then somebody explain to me why the same 3 guys get the contracts. Somebody. I know we're not supposed to talk like that. And the Jane Byrne will run late, and the $100 million, and the beat goes on. Because in Illinois, that's what you like. You're used to it. You're safe. You're protected. Now put your mask on to leave your house, slaves. 312-642-5600.
AM 560's Steve Cortez is on special assignment working on President Trump's re-election campaign. He'll be back after the election in November, right here on AM 560, The Answer. We know that sometimes it might be difficult to hear AM 560, like when you drive under that bridge, or you get too close to power lines, or when you're surrounded by gigantic concrete and steel buildings, which is why we've made it easy to listen to us whenever you want, wherever you might be. We're always streaming at 560theanswer.com and on the AM 560 mobile app. You can also get us on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and we're on TuneIn, iHeart, and Radio.com. You can listen wherever and whenever to AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, are you guys open?
Yeah, we are. Come on in.
As businesses reopen across the nation, is your business prepared for what comes next? Salem Surround can help. COVID-19 brought America's thriving economy to a screeching halt. But now, local businesses are getting back to normal. Are you ready for the return to business and all that pent-up consumer demand? Contact Salem Surround. Learn more at surroundchicago.com. That's surroundchicago.com. Connecting you with new customers.
I can't help it, kid. I get fired up. You know I get fired up. Seems like everybody's talking about what's going to happen with schools this fall. For many of you, there's a lot of uncertainty. For most of you, well, I've got news for you. There's an alternative out there. It's not everybody is governed by the Chicago Teachers Union. There's private schools. These private schools have the ability to hold classes in person. Have you had a bad experience with your kid and e-learning? Well, there's going to be private schools, many schools, that are going to open this fall. You now have a way to enroll your child at half price of the regular tuition. It's called halfpriceschools.com. Simple. Find a private school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your kid off to school the way you used to go and the way it should be. Into the classroom this fall. Halfpriceschools.com has schools who are committed, already have said they're going to open for learning this fall. St. John's, Families in Faith Christian, Christian Liberty Academy, Calvin Christian School. I got to read the other ones because there's so many lists. You'd be surprised. But you're not going to know if you don't go to halfpriceschools.com. Many of these vouchers have already been sold out. Don't wait any longer. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com. I wish I did.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app and radio.com.
The virus continues to hit baseball. Good afternoon. It's 68 degrees in Chicago at 5:30. On AM 560, The Answer, I'm Tom Beck. 13 members of the St. Louis Cardinals organization have now tested positive for coronavirus. That includes 7 players, according to Major League Baseball. An upcoming series against Detroit Tigers has been postponed. The Cardinals will continue their quarantine in Milwaukee and undergo daily testing. The league says the plan right now is to have the Cardinals play the Cubs starting on Friday. Negotiations continue between the Trump administration and Democrats on an additional coronavirus stimulus package. Tropical storm Isaias is about 60 miles from Charleston, South Carolina. It's expected to turn into a hurricane by the time it makes landfall tonight. A suspect is under arrest in connection with the murder of a Chicago 9-year-old. Superintendent David Brown thanked the community for giving tips to police as to who the suspect was. Brown said the suspect is not believed to have been aiming at Shinari Ricks on Friday when he started shooting in the Cabrini Green neighborhood. On AM 560, The Answer, I'm Tom Beck.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
If you're not listening to Dan and Amy 24/7, then you're missing daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. You're also missing the Dan Proft Show. 3 hours of new content each weekday from Dan Proft. You're missing some of the best moments from Dan and Amy from the past. It's all available at danandamy247.com or on the AM 560 mobile app when you tap on Choose Stream in the bottom left-hand corner. It's Dan and Amy 24/7.
You take for granted the doors and entryways you use every day to get in and out of your facility. They do their job and everything's fine until it isn't. Your commercial door is stuck and your work vehicles can't get out, costing your business big bucks. Or maybe you're facing a fine for fire doors not being up to code. Did you know fire doors need to be inspected annually? The Industrial Door Company will ensure you're compliant, maintain records, and maintain all your facility's doors so you're ready to do business. And as things get moving again, now is a great time to make sure your commercial doors are ready for the coming increase in use. Visit industrialdoor.com to see a full range of products and services. Stop losing big bucks because your commercial door is stuck. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. That's 847-258-5620. Their team will be there to get you back in business. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Traveling out on the Kennedy, clogged from Costner on out to the Split with the crash taking out the right lane. Now out to the junction, it's 11, 8 in the Express, 28 minutes on out to the airport. If you're coming inbound from O'Hare, 29 minutes, 18 off the junction. Headed out on the Ike at Independence, a stall blocks the right lane. Circled at 390-33. Now the inbound Eisenhower, a parking lot from Sacramento to Ashland. There's an accident investigation blocking 2 right lanes. 390 into the circle, 32 minutes, a half hour on in from Wolf. Stevenson outbound from the drive to 355 and 33. In on the Stevenson, crawling from Willow Springs Road to just past Harlem Avenue with a stalled semi blocking 2 left lanes. 355 into the drive, 44 minutes, 35 on in from the Tri-State. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBatchis on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Partly cloudy skies overnight. We'll see an overnight low of 60. It'll be pleasant Tuesday with intervals of clouds and sun. Tuesday's high 74. Clear skies Tuesday night, low 58. Mostly sunny Wednesday and Thursday. High Wednesday 78. Thursday's high 80. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Time now for the AM 560 Opinion Express poll question.
If COVID-19 has disrupted sports in your community, would you move to another area or state to allow your kids to play?
Vote online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the NJ Diet Show. Tune in Sunday afternoons 1 to 2 for the NJ Diet Show with Dr. Arthur Turovitz on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Now you're talking, huh? Before we knew what a sicko he was very good to listen to. You know what I mean? I'm always excited to do the interviews, and I'm especially excited when I get to interview somebody I respect. That's Brad Polumbo. He tends to be a libertarian, but he's also very aware of economics. He, like myself, is a fan of von Mises, Rothbard. These are names that unfortunately everybody should know, but very few do know. And the reality is, when you view capitalism, when you view Americanism, there's only one way to look at it, and that's through the rights of the individual. And that's why I like to bring Brad on. Brad Polumbo, you can find his information at fee.org. Many articles. And Brad, I must confess, I've been reading you for a while, and you've got a couple of good ones lately.
Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. I look forward to it. You've got some new ones that I really like. This vandalism is violence. You know, people kind of forget that. Destruction riots are not just property damaging. Can you tell me a little bit about what you found?
Right. So one of the most disturbing things I've seen happen in recent weeks is in some of the cities like Portland, where there's not just peaceful protests, but there's also been violent rioting and arson. You've seen some people in liberal media, all the way to the editorial pages of the New York Times, trying to justify this and downplay this. They say, oh, they're just broken windows, or it's just property damage. It's not people's lives. That's what really matters. And they're trying to justify really radical vandalism in a way that's dangerous, because there's no such thing as just property damage. In one example, police found a burnt body of a man in a pawn shop that had been burned down in the George Floyd riots. They found it days later. Well, those people that lit that building on fire thought they were just destroying property damage, but that's simply not how it works.
Now, Brad, many of us identified the movement, which is really not about, they're using the black people to advance Marxism. They're using a minority race to advance their power over other people. And when you look at Portland, that is, it has a Caucasian rate of 72+% and a black population of just over 6.1%. Are people starting to be aware, not just by the fact that 80% of the kids doing the damage are white, are people starting to grasp that this is more about tearing down America as a country of free men versus forcing everyone into this Marxism that they're promoting?
Well, you're absolutely right to say that these rioters are not really part of the black community in most cases, and a lot of them are not even part of the movement for criminal justice reform. A lot of them are anarchists and Antifa, or people that are bad actors that are exploiting the kind of national unrest that we've seen to go and just tear things down and try to push their vision of a extremely left-wing society that doesn't respect the rights of the individual, like you noticed, doesn't care about property rights, because the Marxist view is that property is itself inherently invalid. They view property rights as not valid, whereas the traditional American tradition says that property rights are a form of human rights, an individual right, an extension of self. Yet this kind of Marxist movement that is unfortunately infiltrating the mainstream media in so far as they're defending some of these riots and downplaying them, they're truly trying to redefine violence so it no longer respects the basic property rights, even though those are so fundamental to the very basics of free market capitalism.
Why is it that there are virtually none that I'm aware of, aside from maybe two that I'm thinking senators, calling for the actual rule of law to be enforced? I am petrified at the reality that our representatives are literally hiding rather than demanding the rule of law be imposed.
Well, the real thing is that ultimately it's going to have to come from the people of Portland, right? There are Democratic officials who run these cities where this unrest is happening, and they have ordered police to stand down. They've stopped enforcing the rule of law, absolutely. But there's only so much that federal government or Republican officials can really do, and that's their city. At some point, even most Democrats have to look at what's happening in Portland and say that's insanity. So the real change is only going to happen when even people on the center left or reasonable people in the Democratic Party look at city officials who are doing this and throw them out.
But what it looks like, even in your article, you mention it, the city officials, the politicians that are accessible, are literally running cover, as they've called these areas where people were imprisoned who didn't agree with it. These areas of these they were calling them block parties. They were calling it a dance party. They were calling it a peaceful protest. When the reality is, what about those innocent people trapped there? Who represents them?
Right. I mean, you're talking about the Chop Chaz anarchist zone that declared themselves autonomous. And in that case, Mayor Jenny Durkin, we're talking about Seattle here, she called it a summer of love and a block party. And then, just a few weeks later, she had to finally order the police to clear it out after multiple people were shot and raped. So you can't have, this is just reminding us of the most basics of our civilization, that you have to have a rule of law. Listen, I'm a libertarian. You believe in freedom. I know all of this, individual rights. We believe in small government. But the one thing government has to do is protect people and enforce the rule of law. And these same blue mayors and Democrat politicians who think the government should get involved in all sorts of things aren't willing to have the government enforce its most basic role, and that just results in disaster.
So here in Illinois and in Chicago in particular, what the people are witnessing, and some of the people who benefit, the looters or the people who just have nothing to do and like the violence and the chaos, what they're witnessing is not only is there no punishment for the devastation. In fact, there's a reward. So as you see politicians like the little Lori Lightfoot tear down statues to capitulate and to try to make amends with protesters, do you feel, and this is a Brad Palumbo opinion question, do you feel that that's the direction more and more of these cities and states are going to go in?
Well, yes, to the extent that people are fleeing these cities. I mean, people are fleeing California. They're fleeing major cities and going to live in other places. So if all that's left is people who are willing to tolerate that kind of thing, I suppose that is the direction. But, I live in Arlington, Virginia, and I know all sorts of people who can't wait to move out of Washington, D.C. after they saw the storefronts on the same street as their apartment just ransacked, with the police nowhere in sight. I mean, I'm luckily to be over the bridge, so that's not technically my neighborhood, but imagine your tax dollars going to that. I think people are going to flee these cities, and they're going to vote with their feet. And left and right, most common sense people are not okay with what is happening.
Well, you're on the phone with a guy who lives half the year in Florida. I couldn't agree more with you, but I'm more concerned about the people we leave behind, the family members we leave behind, the Illinoisans we leave behind. And here's the thing that kind of ties in to the finance of it. I am so disgusted, Brad, with this idea of American new socialism where everybody gets a check. And everybody, we know we shut you down, but we're going to pay you $1,200. And we sat there and they did the first one. Now that they're mentioning this second one, is anybody saying, you do realize these protesters, these anarchists, these rabble-rousers who are really a version of a Marxist special forces, they're in on that $1,200. So rather than just be complacent that you're going to get $1,200, the guy who goes to work and tries to do the right thing, you are aware we are rewarding these protesters, and they are even committing fraud where you're finding this. Now, here's what I'm going to do, Brad. If you don't mind, could you stay on hold while we go to commercials and you answer that when we get back?
Sure thing.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. We're on the phone with Brad Palumbo. We'll be back after these messages.
In the final 100 days before the election, President Trump knew it was time to call in the closer to seal a victory. And the man he called was AM 560's Steve Cortes.
There is nobody that loves this country more than Steve Cortes. Steve.
Steve will return to the air after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
In the 2016 race for president, Donald Trump was not the first choice for many Christian voters. His personal history made it unimaginable that he would defend Christian values as president, or so we thought. In his new book, For God and Country, The Christian Case for Trump, Dr. Ralph Reed shows that President Trump has kept his promises and been the most effective presidential defender of religious liberty and the pro-life cause since Reagan. It's required reading in 2020. For God and Country, the new book by Ralph Reed, available wherever books are sold.
Steve Cortes here, and as you've probably already heard, I'm taking some time away from my radio show on AM 560 to help with President Trump's re-election campaign. But I will be back in Chicago on Thursday, August 20th for a very special event that you can still be part of. I'm talking about Cigar Night 2020 with my friends Dennis Prager and Dan Proft. I'll be there with Dennis and Dan, and I'll fill you in on what's been happening on the campaign trail and what to expect in the months to come leading up to the election. All of the tickets for the on-site event are already sold out, but you can still watch the event on live video stream from the comfort of your own home. These virtual tickets are just $12 and include a complimentary cigar for you to enjoy. Get your virtual ticket today at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar.
Can the daily recommended servings of fruits and vegetables fit into just 6 capsules? Yes. We start by sourcing organically grown whole fruits and vegetables. We ensure they are picked at peak ripeness. All of our produce is third-party tested for pesticides, heavy metals, bad bacteria, and nutrients. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum cold process which removes the water using pressure. This maximizes the nutritional value while preserving the color, smell, and taste of the fruit or vegetable. The freeze-dried food is then ground into a fine powder without adding any additives, fillers, or extracts. These powdered foods are then mixed in our proprietary blends and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped directly to our customers. Balance of Nature is now offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Go to balanceofnature.com today and use discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Diamond in the back, sun rooftop, digging the scene with a gangster lean.
Josh, I don't know how you like the interview or don't like the interview, but you will forever remember it as the best talk show with the best music. I mean, how could you not? Do you love the music, Brad?
The music is one of a kind, I'll tell you that.
You know why? You're a young kid. If you were old like me, you'd appreciate this, Brad. Listen, thanks for sticking around. And I really want to know if you foresee an outcry by conservatives, by libertarians, by Republicans that put together the reality we are rewarding these people among us who are tearing down our nation with this socialist concept of blanket money, which is really just shut up money, and here, pay your rent if you can. Why do you think so many Americans are accepting it?
Well, it never made sense from the beginning, but I think people are accepting it because in a crisis, they just kind of look to the government, and the government officials and politicians tell them, it'll be okay, just give us more power and let us spend more of your money. But the idea of blank across the board $1,200 checks, it never made sense to begin with. You know, why would you respond to a crisis in a way that doesn't take into account whether someone was actually impacted by the crisis? So they used 2018 tax return data, which a lot has changed since then. So if you're out of business, you get the same check as someone like me who's a journalist, and I work from home, salary uninterrupted. Why do I need a relief check financed by you and your neighbor? So the plan was always flawed to begin with. Add to that the government incompetence where they sent billions of dollars to dead people, and you have an absolute mess on your hands with this response.
And why, Brad, we're going to go forward. They just said today, I just read a tweet from Donald Trump. And listen, here's the other thing, Brad, I want to be very clear. My answer to the problems we face is not put in a 50-year corrupt, failing fraud who may or may not be wearing a diaper. The reality is, I view this as somebody who fights Trumponomics. I fight Keynesianism. I fight collectivism. We can correct those things. We cannot correct the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren Marxism that's coming. So I say this by saying I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, and I think everyone should. Why is it, do you think, we can't pull that administration back into capitalism and the righteousness of freedom and earning? Why are they not saying, I don't care what you're going to do, we are not going to reward everybody who has not worked for it, and fight the payroll tax increase? For a minute, I thought he had something. Now he doesn't.
Right. I mean, Donald Trump has certainly done things that capitalist free market people can support, from tax cuts to deregulation, all across the board to school choice. But there are some things to note, and that's that he's never been a principled fiscal conservative. He's never been your deficit hawk, at least not since he entered Republican politics. And I think politicians focus on elections, and he looks at the situation less, and he feels like he has to do something. You know, that's the instinct that corrupts all politicians. So he has moved away from this free market approach on the coronavirus response, and so have most Republicans in Washington, D.C., to be honest. And it makes you wonder how invested they were in those principles to begin with, especially, you know, some of the guys that have been in the Senate for 30 years and talked about, you know, small government reining the deficit while they've been voting to spend more and more every year. But we are seeing a big government response because there's really only one party in Washington, and it's the party of big government, and there's a few people in Congress and elsewhere that actually do have beliefs that are principled. But pretty much we have a two-party big government system, and we're seeing that at its worst right now.
I want to get to your one article, and then I have to go to another break. But one enormous mistake Congress must not repeat if there's a COVID-19 second wave, which we know is probably going to happen. This is an article you wrote on June 30th. Give me the mistake. What can't they do?
Don't respond to another uptick in the disease with another disastrous trillion-dollar bill. And I wrote this a few weeks ago, but that's what they may be doing now. We're not going to get rid of COVID-19. We all should take reasonable steps and do everything we can to mitigate it. But we can't just keep having trillion-dollar bills that set up an unemployment system that pays people more not to go to work and sends checks to dead people. We can't just keep doing this. I mean, I'm in my 20s. I'm going to be paying off the debt we are running up this year for the rest of my life.
Yes.
$3.7 trillion is going to be the deficit this year. That's triple what it was just a year ago. It's unprecedented. So what we're setting up a crisis down the line with our kind of haphazard response to the problems of today.
Well, Brad, I want to tell you, when you wake up and you decide to move from Virginia, you call Liberty Real Estate Services in South Florida. See what I did? That's a cheap plug. Brad Palumbo, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. We'll be back after this.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
One of the few things certain these days is the need to stay connected. From joining meetings with employees to providing remote presentations to potential clients, the helping hands at Turnkey can offer your business the technology to get it all done. Remote working has increased productivity and given businesses an opportunity to explore the world of cloud services. But with so many options available, it can be difficult to figure out the benefits of one solution over another. Turnkey can help with solutions that have been tested thoroughly to ensure they're reliable, robust, and ready to work for your business. Exactly what your business needs to keep up during these challenging times and beyond. While the world has slowed its pace, Turnkey has not. They're using the same technology they can offer your business to work remotely and can safely be on site when needed. Remote access, serverless options, cloud services, consulting, configuring, and help desk support. Turnkey, peace of mind.
Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey.pro.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My name is Melissa, and I bought my first home with Townstone Financial. It was a lot of personal attention. I felt like I was very comfortable. All of my questions were answered. It was a very personal, and Barry is very down to earth. He breaks it all down for the layperson who is not, usually a lender or knows anything about it. it and really actually cared about me and how I understood the process, I felt that I could trust Barry and Townstone right away.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
When we get back, former CEO of Chicago Public Schools, Paul Vallas, who might not have left the Democrat Party, but it left him after Fox News.
It won't happen. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump ruling out a nationwide shutdown to stop the spread of COVID-19.
It's important for all Americans to recognize that a permanent lockdown is not a viable path toward.
The president saying lockdowns do not prevent future infections, and other countries have seen a resurgence in cases after lockdowns. The president also signing an executive order on telehealth, ensuring that those visits are covered by Medicare at no extra cost. Another meeting between top Democrats and White House officials as they try to reach an agreement on another round of COVID-19 relief.
Democratic leaders say there is progress, but more needs to be done. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said food insecurity, unemployment, and eviction are concerns.
The way we can correct so much of that is for us to defeat the virus.
She said that takes policy and money. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says they went through those numbers.
How many children can you feed with this amount of dollars? For how long? How many schools can you protect?
The sides remain at odds over weekly unemployment payouts to families. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Isaiah is expected to re-strengthen into a hurricane as it makes its way toward the Carolinas.
Stay inside during the heavy winds and watch for tornadoes.
North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, the National Hurricane Center, is warning people who live near the ocean to brace for storm surge up to 5 feet and up to 8 inches of rain in spots. The tropical storm warning extends all the way up to Maine. The first big wildfire in Southern California of this year is raging for a 4th day. The fire is east of Los Angeles in Riverside County. It's forced thousands of people from their homes, and it's consumed more than 41 square miles. It's only 5% contained since it broke out Friday evening. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're not listening to Dan and Amy 24/7, then you're missing daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. You're also missing The Dan Proft Show. 3 hours of new content each weekday from Dan Proft. You're missing some of the best moments from Dan and Amy from the past. It's all available at danandamy247.com or on the AM 560 mobile app when you tap on Choose Stream in the bottom left-hand corner. It's Dan and Amy 24/7.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been on this balance of nature for quite some time now. I know that what you put in your body is critical to your health. I listen to AM radio out of Dallas, and you have these people on there witnessing about the difference it's made in their life. Now, all these people aren't lying about this. I hadn't even had as much as a cold since I've been taking this, and I'm telling you, my energy level has increased unbelievable. So I'm impressed with it.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Staples helps your business go big with everything from office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer at amazing prices. This week, 8-ounce hand sanitizer is 2 for $5. Ends 8/8 while supplies last. Limits vary online. Save big at Staples.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Traveling outbound on the Kennedy, it's bumper to bumper from Addison on out to the split, and that's due to an earlier crash. 20 minutes onto the junction, 12 in the express, half hour to the airport. Back inbound from O'Hare, 28 minutes, 16 of that off the junction. Ike outbound to 390 and 35. Inbound Eisenhower, crawling, California to Ashland. A crash investigation has 2 right lanes blocked. Now from 390 into the circle, 40 minutes, 25 of that on in from Wolf. Stevenson outbound from the drive to 355 and 33. Inbound Stevenson, that's a parking lot. From the Tri-State Tollway to just past Harlem Avenue, a stalled semi has 2 left lanes blocked. Now from 355 into the drive, 46 minutes, 37 minutes from the Tri-State on into Lakeshore Drive. On the Dan Ryan out to 95th in a half hour, inbound at 18. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges. On AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Overnight, partly cloudy skies, the overnight low 60. Tuesday, pleasant with intervals of clouds and sun, the high 74. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 58. Wednesday and Thursday, mostly sunny and pleasant, the high Wednesday 78, Thursday's high 80. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Steve Cortez will return after the November election. Filling in for Steve while he's away on special assignment with the Trump campaign is Sean Thompson.
I have to admit, I not only have a few Democrats in my family I like, or a few strangers out there I like. Now, I'm convinced that the former CEO of public schools is not a Democrat. He insists he is. But I'm going to let you be the judge. Because if he is, he's a Kennedy Democrat. You know, the ones that used to be conservative. Paul Vallis, are you there?
I am. I want to forewarn you. I just, a half an hour ago, I had a root canal. So
wonderful. Was it
my speech is a little jumbled a bit. It's because I've got a lip full of Novocaine. Sorry about that.
No problem. You're a trooper. I really appreciate you even joining me. And in these uncertain times, when our kids are really kind of being bullied one way or another, whether it's for their own good or not, I like to talk to the old kind of educators, the old timers that used to think that the parents should be influential. So I wanted to bring you on, root canal or not, Paul.
All right.
So you've got Pritzker right now, who has kind of taken over the school sports. Now he's regulated and he hasn't. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I think the state is doing the best they can to be guided by the science, but I think they're also being intimidated by some of the union activists who don't want to open, and they want to open remotely. And the bottom line is children are least impacted by the virus. In fact, in Illinois through July, there have been only 4 fatalities of individuals under the age of 20 who that could be linked to the virus. And I'm sure that there were pre-existing conditions in all of them. Plus, the transmission rate is a lot slower among young people. Now, that does not mean that there are not risks. There are risks, but influenza is having, the flu season is actually having a bigger impact on young people than COVID. The real challenge with COVID, particularly because of the infection spiking, is the transmission to adults, and obviously adults are at a greater risk. So, and particularly those with pre-existing conditions. So the anxiety is justified, and the concern is justified. That said and done, I mean, there are very specific procedures or guidelines in place that the CDC has basically said, and the science has said, can significantly reduce the risks of transmission. And you have to understand the devastating impact that these closed schools are having on not only all children, but particularly on low-income children, because they're not quarantining when they're at home. Who's monitoring them? Who's watching them? Who's helping them learn remotely? So we really run the risks that if we don't get our schools open with the proper, health safety plans in place, that we're going to be doing serious damage, and the costs, the consequences of children who are on the borderline or on the margins already falling further behind will far exceed any potential consequences from obviously the impact of the disease on the virus on young people.
Now, Paul, I know you have this toothache, so we're going to go right to the questions. I'm going to get you off the phone so you go put an ice pack on your kisser. So
yeah, sorry about that.
I feel terrible. While you were being drilled by the dentist who will be paid by your teacher pension insurance, thank goodness you got it. I'd have to write a check with commas, so I'm happy you're taken care of. No, but
you don't know what. No, you don't want to know what my copay was.
Yeah, I'll trade you any day of the week. Listen, so while you were doing that, LaShawn Ford, you remember LaShawn Ford, the guy who I actually know. I mean, I think he's a nice guy. I even could take a pass that he pled guilty to bank fraud. We are in Chicago. It's to be expected. The other thing is he put forward a little idea, and I want you to hear it.
I'm calling for the abolishment of history classes in Illinois. We're concerned that current school history teachings lead to white privilege and a racist society.
Now, you've been a teacher involved in schools for how many years is it, Paul? Is it 30 years?
Well, I've been involved in education for well over 3 decades. Actually, since I worked for the state legislature, staffing the elementary and secondary education committees, and of course, I was a superintendent for almost 2 decades.
So it's fair to say you've heard some stupid things. It's fair to say over those 30 years, you've put up with people you probably wanted to say, "Are you a moron?" But in this particular case, this is an elected official in the city of Chicago who wants to stop teaching history. Now, in his defense, he said it's because it's giving angst to society. Well, why isn't there a push for the actual history to be taught versus the propaganda that is leading to the angst? I feel this.
Well, look, first of all, I know the state rep, and I like him, and we've been friends for a long time. He also taught while I was superintendent, and I just want to say one thing. I think the federal charges on him were, they targeted him, and I think they targeted him unfairly, and justice was served by him being acquitted, and because he
pled guilty.
In my mind, he had never done anything wrong, and unfortunately, it tainted him. So I don't want to throw him into the pile.
I did that, and I did that because he wasn't acquitted. He pled guilty. He was a plea bargain.
Well, you know what? Yeah, the bottom line is it clearly was not the best federal case that was ever brought, and at the end of the day, I'm just saying that I'm not going to compare him with some of the other elected officials who have gotten into trouble legitimately and have earned their time or have earned the bad rep that they have gotten. But, let me just say this about history. Look, I mean, there's a lot of grandstanding going on. Let's make no bones about it. People are just searching for issues. They're just searching for issues. I was a history teacher. If you think the curriculum is inadequate, you supplement it. So, for example, when I was CEO of the Chicago Public Schools, we made sure that we taught comprehensive, honest history. We didn't have Black History Month as much as we incorporated Black history into American history because it was a part of American history. And we did the same thing with world history. I mean, so at the end of the day, it was kind of a seamless, comprehensive, honest curriculum that basically educated people properly and I think thoroughly. Look, if you think that the history curriculum is inadequate, then you modify the curriculum. You don't put a moratorium on the teaching of history until a brand new curriculum has been written. First of all, who's going to approve that curriculum? What's going to be the process for providing input? And so at the end of the day, I just think that there's some, there's more than a little high-profile grandstanding going on. And I'm not suggesting that that's what's motivating him here, but clearly I think people are cooler heads need to prevail. You can easily, if you think your curriculum instructional models are inadequate, you can make changes. Also, let me point out in Chicago, the schools are governed by local school councils, meaning if those local school councils want a curriculum that's Afrocentric or Latino-centric, they can require that. They can mandate that. The local school councils, by law, are not only heavily involved in the selection of the school leader, but they're also involved in making decisions about curriculum instruction. So there's no need to ban the curriculum and await a new curriculum.
A lot of people are unaware of just how information is monopolized in the public school system, meaning it primarily comes from one book company, one set of books. In an age of 2020 where we have information highways in the palm of our hands, do you think that it should continue, the book monopoly that exists in public schools, or do you think that maybe kids should be exposed to all knowledge of facts and all ideas of different science? Will kids learn how to think better if we just keep making the monopoly that gives the information to the kids stronger? Because I say this, you're a history teacher, and my kids were in school. I still have a junior in high school, and what comes in her books is not even close to the reality of things from what I can ascertain.
Well, look, we definitely live in a world where social media and just mass communications is evolving at a rapidity unimaginable. And so it's like, all you can do is kind of hang on. Having taught having led 3 districts, one in Chicago where local school councils by law played a very dominant role in curriculum instruction and things like that. In Philadelphia, where I could dictate the curriculum instructional models, and then in New Orleans, where all the schools were open enrollment schools. They were all open enrollment independent schools. There were charter schools, but they were charter schools that served the immediate community and then the immediate neighborhood, and they were governed by local boards. So I've seen it all. I believe that schools should provide all of their teachers with superior curriculum instructional models, detailed down to the daily lesson plans, not to expect them to teach this instruction in kind of a rote way, but to give the teachers all the curriculum instructional resources they need to be effective. Because a lot of times teachers teach out of their area of certification. But once you provide them with that basis, and once you provide them with those clear learning objectives and what the state learning standards are, et cetera, then you give them broad flexibility to operate within those parameters. So I've always felt that you give the teachers the tools to be effective, but you also give them and the schools the freedom to go beyond the basics, so to speak, to move beyond the curriculum instructional models, or even not to use them if they have something better. You want to give them the tools for success, but you want to give them the freedom to chart their own course, particularly if that course can enhance the instructional experience, and if that course can lead to a better delivery of service. So that's always been my approach to take. And And that approach worked very, very well in Philadelphia, where by the way, the curriculum was more structured for the traditional schools, but the charter schools were able to access our curriculum instructional models while having much greater independence to determine what their actual curriculum instructional approaches will be. And that's the approach that we took in New Orleans, where we provided schools with curriculum instructional models that were selected by teachers and were upgraded and improved upon every year by teachers. So we provided these schools with the tools to be effective, but of course they had broad autonomy as to whether to use the tools or not. They ultimately made that decision. So I think that combination of giving people the tools while giving people the freedom, it's not mutually exclusive. I think both of those things can go hand in hand. Nope. I apologize to Novocaine.
No problem. Paul, one of the things I like about you is that you've always been an advocate for the actual betterment of the kids. You've been a proponent for charter schools. You've been a proponent to some extent for school choice. Why is it that you think the least successful education part of our society, the public school system, which arguably produces the least of the results, is the most expensive, yet has the biggest voice?
Well, let me tell you, I've worked in other countries where there has been an absence of a quality public school system, and it's been to those countries' detriment. So, I mean, one of America's great gifts is public education for all. But I believe that, and I fully support choice. I support choice 100%. I believe that we have, in effect, education redlining, because why are children confined to a neighborhood school if that neighborhood school, by their parents' determination, is not adequate to serve their child's needs? And I believe all children should be awarded choice. Now, what's happening at the national level right now is there's a movement against choice. Like there's a movement to kill charters. Did you know that when you look at the performance of charter schools, nationally people say charter schools are doing no better than traditional.
Paul, I blew the break by asking you the question. Could you hang on? Could you hang on with me?
I will.
Thank you, Paul. Hang on. We'll be back with Paul Vallis after this.
AM 560's Steve Cortez is on special assignment working on President Trump's re-election campaign. He'll be back after the election in November, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
In these challenging times, what is really happening? Is there a force behind it all? If you believe in the freedoms that founded America, if you're looking for answers, go to ProfitToAmerica.com. That's ProfitToAmerica.com and download the free book, A Fresh Wind. Is God using this pandemic to bring us back to our roots? Go to ProfitToAmerica.com. That's ProfitToAmerica.com.
Dennis Prager here. I'm excited to come to Chicago August 20th for Cigar Night with Dan Proft and Steve Cortez. This is the third time I've come to Chicago for this event, and it's always an illuminating evening of great conversation. This year, because of restrictions on capacity, the limited number of tickets that were available for the on-site event have already sold out. But AM 560 is offering a special live video stream to watch the event from the comfort of your own home. You can purchase that ticket for just $12. And when you purchase the ticket, you'll also receive a voucher for a complimentary cigar from the fine folks at the Humidor Cigar Lounge. And if you don't smoke, send it to me. So don't miss the special live stream broadcast of Cigar Night on Thursday, August 20th, with me, Dan Proft, and Steve Cortez. To get your ticket, go to 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. One more time, 560theanswer.com/cigar.
Issues of human suffering and societal injustice play incessantly on every outlet around us. Yet it seems like everywhere you turn, there are more unanswered questions and few honest explanations about why so many of our liberties are under attack. How do we regain order and a sense of normalcy? Find clear answers to the most important questions we face as a nation when you stream Morality in the 21st Century on Salem Now. This on-demand video discussion with syndicated media host Dennis Prager and distinguished theologian Dr. Wayne Grudem gives you a well-defined understanding about the enemies within our institutions and a vibrant roadmap to protect our God-given liberties. In Morality in the 21st Century, Dennis Prager and Wayne Grudem confront the toughest social issues of today by digging deep into religious and political history, and through never-before-told personal stories, provide a clear direction for a visionary future. Visit salemnow.com to stream Morality in the 21st Century and type in the code Chicago for a 20% discount. That's salemnow.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Back. Thank you so much for listening. We're back. Paul Vallas, CEO of Chicago Public Schools, when things were much better. This is something I've been listening to. My kids are 19 and 17, and I was well aware of this even before they were a twinkle in my eye. School choice is always fought by the teachers' union. They hate the competition because they have a stronghold. Paul, I want to bring you back. Is there hope, or will we always just be dealing in this mediocrity? Will they always have an argument of lowering tests scores to fit inadequacies versus what's best for the kids, and then will they always keep using them as weapons against us?
Well, look, you gave me three quick questions, but let me indulge me while I make the point I was making before the before the break. The unions are trying to strangle choice, and let me tell you, about 6-7 years ago, when the teachers unions were to a certain extent, I don't want to say on the ropes, but they were clearly on the defensive, and there was a push for charter schools and things like that, and a big push for school choice and accountability. The unions decided that they needed allies, so they became some of the biggest contributors to these progressive groups. The NAACP in New York, the Working Families Party, etc. So they wrapped themselves in the mantle of this progressive movement. So the Chicago Teachers Union negotiates a contract that's really 90% of that contract. $1.5 billion is benefits, salary increases, longevity, more teacher union members, stuff like that. They throw some token things in about housing and the homeless and things like that. All right. So look, they're marching to defund the cops. They have a $7.7 billion budget. They got $200 million from the federal government. If the McConnell bill passes, the CPS will get 5 times the amount of money that they already got from the federal government. You know what I mean? And they're running around wanting to defund the police. But the point that I want to make is they've really been on a campaign to stifle school choice. In LA, the teachers union out there says they're not going to return to work until charters are not funded until the police are defunded, and because charter school choice is threatening, is threatening people. What we have now is really separate. It's kind of like a separate but equal approach. We're just going to give more money to these schools that are struggling rather than give parents choices. If the federal government is going to significantly increase the funding that's available to schools during this COVID period, then give parents the choice to go with it. Let parents pick a charter school or parochial school or private school. Let them decide, if the schools are closed, what the best online program to enroll their child in. Let parents come together and form these. They're called education pods, and these micro schools where working parents can get a teacher to supervise their children, a group of children at a time, to do remote instruction while the parents go off to work. So at the end of the day, poor people, there's nothing more progressive. If you're a true progressive, you support school choice.
Right.
How can you deny inner city children, poor children, the quality educational choices?
My answer
and that's what they're hell-bent on doing.
My answer is government is stronger. The money is spent more frivolously when those problems exist. So I want to ask you just one more question, then I'll let you go.
Okay.
In a system where the people on one side of the table aren't paying for the costs that the people on the other side of the table are asking for, in a system where that one side of the table that is supposed to protect the money actually is looking for more and more support of the people. Can you ever get an actual honest negotiation from a mayor who's elected through public opinion and spending money she doesn't have to pay for or doesn't matter to a body that guarantees her more support if they meet her demands? Can it ever be honest?
Well, look, I've never negotiated a contract I could not afford. I've never negotiated a contract that stifled choice. And I was always able to find, and I've negotiated 4 collective bargaining agreements, 3 with union presidents who I got along splendidly with. 1 I didn't, but it didn't keep us from negotiating affordable contracts. But in each of those schools, we offered choice. In each of those schools, we partnered with parochial and private schools. In each of those schools, we dramatically expanded educational choices and educational options. I mean, one of the best relationships I've ever had from a collective bargaining standpoint was in New Orleans, where, in effect, we put the entire district on the course toward today, all but the select, listen to this, all but the select enrollment magnet schools are, in fact, charter schools, open enrollment charter schools that serve individual communities. And yet one of my strongest supporters over the years has been Larry Carter, who was president of the union in New Orleans and now is president of the state of the Louisiana Federation of Teachers. So at the end of the day, it can be done. It's really a leadership issue. And you know, people can draw their own conclusions about how effective the mayor's been or how ineffective she has been. But at the end of the day, I certainly think she should have stood her ground and she should have negotiated a tougher contract. If you were going to provide the Chicago Teachers Union with that type of effective contract settlement, you should have expanded choices. You should have lifted the caps on if not new charter schools, on charter school enrollment. You know, you should have made sure that you were extending the school day and extending the school year and requiring more instructional time on task, which is a big difference maker when you talk about closing the achievement gap. And unfortunately, those opportunities were squandered.
Paul, I want to thank you so much for joining me. And all of those reasons are why the union and the establishment Democrats mount up against you. And that is why you should leave that party and declare yourself a Republican so you have a political future. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
When we get back, I'll be taking your calls on the Paul Vallis interview. I also want to know, do you think school choice will ever come here to Illinois, the mafia capital of America? 312-642-5600.
In the final 100 days before the election, President Trump knew it was time to call in the closer to seal a victory. And the man he called was AM 560's Steve Cortes.
There is nobody that loves this country more than Steve Cortes. Steve.
Steve will return to the air after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Actual patient testimonials results may vary.
Hey, why are you going to spend another summer covering your legs and doing nothing about those bulging varicose and spider veins? Not only are they embarrassing, but those unsightly veins may also be a painful sign of serious vein disease. Now's the perfect time to get your legs back, and Vein Clinics of America, the leading expert in vein treatment, can help.
I was too embarrassed to wear shorts, dresses. I am so glad I came in. I can do and wear whatever I want.
As the largest, most experienced vein treatment center in the U.S., Vein Clinics of America is focused on your safety. You can now meet with a VCA doctor online for a teleconsult without leaving the comfort of your home. To ensure safe distancing, VCA is limiting the number of patients in our clinics at any given time.
Medicare and most insurance is accepted, so call now to see if you qualify for a free consultation. Call 800-858-7070. 800-858-7070. 800-858-7070.
We're Diamond and Silk, and we have a new book coming out called Uprising: The Awakening of Diamond and Silk. No one we grew up with could have dreamed of what we have been able to accomplish.
Our mother was born in poverty to sharecroppers. She was living the American nightmare.
So for us, the American dream meant not only the freedom to find love and follow our faith. Freedom meant not letting anyone else define who we are, what we can do, or who we should vote for.
In Uprising, we talk about the world we grew up in and what led us to rebel against that world.
And how rebellion led us to speak out on politics and reach millions of viewers and how you can reach others too. You've seen us.
And you've heard us.
Now read all about us in Uprising.
Uprising by Diamond and Silk, coming August 18th. Pre-order at Amazon or wherever books are sold.
In family law, the gold standard is membership in the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. Only 150 Illinois attorneys have earned the right to be called Academy Fellows. It's a badge of their respect in the eyes of their colleagues and especially the family court judges before whom they appear. The Academy's Illinois chapter includes the most skilled negotiators and litigators. Their experience in all facets of family law, from annulment and divorce to child custody and property valuations, is unmatched. Each has at least 10 years' experience in the field and has passed a rigorous exam. They adhere to the highest codes of confidentiality and integrity. People are at their most vulnerable when dissolving a marriage or even planning a prenuptial agreement. You can count on an Academy Fellow to safeguard your interests and those of your children. These attorneys not only know the law, they've helped write the law. For more information, visit thefamlaw.org. That's thefamlaw.org.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app and radio.com.
No silver bullet. Good afternoon. It's 68 degrees in Chicago at 6:30. On AM 560 The Answer, I'm Tom Beck. The head of the World Health Organization said it's likely there is no silver bullet for coronavirus and there may never be one. It's been 6 months since the WHO declared an international emergency due to the virus. There are now more than 18 million confirmed cases globally and nearly 700,000 deaths since the virus emerged in China late last year. 155,000 plus Americans have died from the virus. President Trump this afternoon said the country is doing an amazing job in responding to the virus. Coronavirus testing is now mandatory for those who work at the White House. Random testing started today. Several staffers have already been infected. In Illinois, the state reported 1,298 new cases along with 10 new deaths today. Governor Pritzker unveiled a new public awareness campaign regarding the importance of wearing masks during the pandemic and includes the phrase, quote, "It only works if you wear it." On AM 560 The Answer, I'm Tom Beck.
Mike Gallagher thinks we're being played.
The media desperately wants to convince you that this is all about racial inequality, racial injustice, social injustice, George Floyd's death. That's the game. And the truth of the matter is, we're all being played for suckers.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Friends, when it comes to the economy, there's been no shortage, unfortunately, of bad news over the last few months as the COVID crisis has really crippled some parts of the American economy. However, there are also signs of green shoots, signs of recovery. And the strongest such sector of recovery so far has been housing. In June, as a matter of fact, existing home sales were the strongest monthly gain that we have seen ever in the history of that survey, which goes all the way back to the 1960s. So consumer confidence combined with low interest rates is encouraging a lot of people in the housing market. If you are in the housing market, I recommend that you take a look at United Faith Mortgage, whether it's a new home loan or a refinance. One of the advantages that United Faith Mortgage can bring to you is that they are a direct lender. And because they're a direct lender, they can often move and close on your loan faster, and sometimes they can get you a better rate, which will save you money over the entire lifetime of the loan. United Faith Mortgage, online at UnitedFaithMortgage.com.
United Mortgage Corp, Melbourne, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Brecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
For more than 20 years, investigative filmmaker Tim Mahoney has traveled the globe for evidence of some of the Old Testament's most miraculous events. Now, with the Red Sea Miracle Part 2, journey to Egypt and beyond as Tim interviews the world's foremost experts to discover the truth. The results are faith-affirming and fascinating. You must see Patterns of Evidence, The Red Sea Miracle Part 2. To see this powerful documentary and others in the series, go to salemnow.com and use the promo code Chicago for 20% off.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. be the next success story.
Staples helps your business go big with everything from office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer at amazing prices. This week, 8-ounce hand sanitizer is 2 for $5. Ends 8/8 while supplies last. Limits vary online. Save big at Staples.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Kennedy outbound 10 to the split, 8 in the express, 24 on onto the airport. Inbound heads up in Hubbard's Cave as stall blocks the left lane. O'Hare back in 28, 16 off the junction. Coming in on the Eisenhower, crawling California to Ashland. There's an accident investigation. 2 right lanes are shut. 390 on into the Circle 37, 25 at that from Wolf. The Stevenson inbound. That's jam-packed from the Des Plaines River Bridge to just past Harlem Avenue. Residual delays from an earlier stalled semi. We're also seeing delays coming inbound on that inbound Dan Ryan ramp, which has just 1 lane open. Now, from 355 into Lakeshore Drive, 38 minutes, 29 of that on in from the Tri-State. The inbound side of the Dan Ryan, stop and go from the Stevenson to Roosevelt, where roadwork blocks the right lane. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges. On AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Partly cloudy skies overnight. We'll see an overnight low of 60. It'll be pleasant Tuesday with intervals of clouds and sun. Tuesday's high 74. Clear skies Tuesday night, low 58. Mostly sunny Wednesday and Thursday. High Wednesday 78. Thursday's high 80. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, baby. A flock of seagulls, right? A lot of guys in my neighborhood still walking around with this hairdo. The ones that do have hair, more than 3. What a better time. John has an excellent point on the line. It's an excellent point. You know what the hardest part for me about this is? I hate asking questions I already know the answer to. And I hate seeing calls I already want to agree with. 312-642-5600. We're going to be taking your calls and suggestions. Do you really think there's ever going to be a time in Chicago, Illinois, when the people will have school choice? Or will the communist teachers union mafia continue to have a monopoly on it? John, Naperville, thanks for calling.
Hey, you're welcome. First of all, that was Duran Duran, not Flock of Seagulls.
You were right. I was always terrible at that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, I work in healthcare, and we're expected to treat COVID patients and a bunch of patients with, horrific problems. I have to gown up, I have to glove up, and I have to go in there and I have to do what I have to do to help that person. And you mean to tell me these teachers, they can't do the same thing? And actually, this may be a godsend, because if they can't, we should be clapping saying, good, let's get rid of all these bums. Let's clean house. Let's get people in here that want to work and educate.
John, you know what's amazing? There was an article out on Friday, and it said children age 5 to 14 across the country, children age 5 to 14. Now, this is terrible. Nobody wants a kid to die, but, we live in Chicago, right? On a weekend, we're lucky if we don't get 3 dead for nothing. 5 to 14 throughout the country, a total of 19 kids have died of COVID-19. Now, that seems statistically infinitesimal. Now, I hate to do that when we talk about death, but statistically infinitesimal in a country with 337 million people and 80 million kids. So
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And look at how many healthcare workers in Norway got infected with COVID from treating patients. 1%. A kid has more of a statistical probability of either getting hit by lightning waiting for the school bus or get into a car accident. So should we just outlaw that kids can't be on the streets?
Why is the data from the medical industry itself, your industry, the data is being ignored, yet the control grows? And I'm wondering, is there an outroar from what you see among healthcare workers? And the fact of the matter is that a lot of the data is being ignored. Is there an outrage, or are they just too busy?
Well, here's the funny thing. And to answer that question, you have to realize we're the only country that has politicized COVID. So you could talk to some of the doctors that are pro-Trump all over, opening schools and all that stuff. Then you talk to others that Trump's the devil. You get the complete opposite, even though the science and the facts are the same. It's really sickening how it's been politicized.
John, I want to thank you so much for calling. And like I said on Friday's show, I wish to God Trump would say he takes Zoloft. This way we get all of these women that are walking around like zombies saying, yes, okay, we get them back. That's what I'm hoping for. Verlon on the south side. Thanks for calling the show.
How you doing, brother?
Good.
To answer your question, no, we'll never have a voucher system for the kids because of the 30% success rate prop up the 70% failure rate. And if we gave kids school vouchers, the Chicago public school system will collapse upon itself. So, no, you'll never see the day. Plus, they'll never give up the control that they have.
You know, I hear here's the problem, Verlon. I look at things as if I was in the problem issue, right? I've got kids. You've got kids. We live our lives. We do anything for our kids. My kids, the little son of a guns bankrupted me, for God's sakes, between the tuition and the money and yada, yada, yada. But I was able to work all that and complain about every dollar. Just ask each one of them and my wife. But yet I still did it. And I did it because I wanted the best. And I'm going to tell you something. I didn't grow up. My mother didn't have the money to send me to school. There are tons, I would say 100 million people that want to do those same things for their kids. So we have created this system where we've sold society on you have to produce education. And there are scoundrels in it profiting immensely and leaving out the kids. The real disservice, the ones who really suffer, are these kids in this system who are virtually illiterate. And you've torn down the test result system to make them feel good. And the reality is when they get pushed out of it in the real world and they're 18 and they went through the Chicago public school system, what do they know? What have they done? What can they do? Instead of lowering standards, shouldn't we raise kids? There's not one person saying that because they're afraid to say it.
Yeah, if you speak up against the system that we have now, you will be torn to shreds. We had a few people that did it. Reverend Meeks, when he made it to the House of Representatives, he tried to do it, and a couple of others, and they were ran out. They were ran out of the state Senate. So it's almost an impossible task to do.
Well, Verlon, thank you so much for calling the show. I really appreciate it. But to all the people out there who think I'm wrong, then explain to me why 50% of Chicago public school union teachers send their own kids to private schools. That should make you think. See, if it's not good enough for their kids, it shouldn't be good enough for anybody's kids, because the reality is they're not really religious. Those teachers that send their kids to the Catholic schools, they're not religious. I mean, are we going to start talking about truth and solutions, or is it always going to be this fairy tale utopia where we keep enriching the worst people among us that abuse the system? I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of pretending it's normal. It's not normal. When we get back, we're going to be taking your calls on this subject. The absolute epitome of Democrat failure is our reality. It's called Chicago, and it's called Illinois. Yet they keep winning, and our only result is to move ourselves from the people we love and the family and jobs we've built. 312-642-5600.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Steve Cortez. You all know how much I love MyPillow and how much it's changed how I sleep. So when Mike Lindell came out with a new mattress topper, I couldn't wait to try it. I have to say, I don't know if I love MyPillow or MyPillow mattress topper more. It's that good. Get ready for the best sleep of your life. Mike's exclusive 3-layer design includes layer 1, MyPillow foam support. Layer 2, transitional foam to help relieve pressure points. Layer 3, ultra soft patented temperature regulating cover. Comes with a 10-year warranty that's washable and dryable. It's made in the USA and backed by MyPillow's 60-day money-back guarantee. Get the total body support you need and better sleep you want. Right now, save 30% on MyPillow mattress toppers when you use the promo code STEVE or call 800-489-0201. When you do, you'll get 2 standard MyPillows for free. Again, the promo code is STEVE. Call 800-489-0201. Promo code STEVE.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I have lots of energy, a lot more energy. I've actually reached the point where
it was very difficult for me to get up and go to work. I'm 76, still working, and once I started taking Balance of Nature, after a short time, it just dawned on me one morning, I'm not tired like I normally am, getting up and going to work, and I have a lot more energy at work. And I'm not tired until it's time to go to bed. And plus, I don't get any cold either, and I just feel healthier.
I always considered myself a healthy person, but at 63, I started running out of energy and contributed that to just getting older. As time went by, I got to where I was taking a nap, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. But I still kept thinking that had to do with my age. But after I got on the Balance of Nature, I no longer take naps. And I realized you don't have to take naps at 63. I feel a lot better and have a lot more endurance. I never realized how much endurance I had lost until I got it back. And so I handle stress better, and I just about eliminated my aches and pains. So I love it.
I am very pleased with your product. I haven't been sick since I've been taking this. Before I started taking this, I'd get sore throat, sniffles, and I really contributed my energy and my health to your product, and I just want to keep taking it. So you guys just keep making it, okay? And just thank God for your company.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
See, if it's Monday, you got to have fun. Nobody says you got to walk around like a big chump looking at your belly button. It's Monday. So what? Every day you got to take advantage of. If anybody shows you that, it's living in Chicago, Illinois. Problem is what it's doing to our future, what we've seen, what we've lived through, the collapse of programs in the hopes of building this utopia. Where is it? Why is it wherever the most government exists, those are called ghettos, bad neighborhoods, areas to leave? Yet for some reason, in the year 2020, we're still pretending it works. It's disgraceful. Kara, Westmont, thanks for calling.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
So good to hear you on the radio. I'll be listening every day. Okay, I hate to say this, but as a lifelong Chicagoan, my husband and I bought 40 acres in Missouri right when this pandemic hit, and we've driven down there at least now about 3 times. It's wonderful to see President Trump thank you billboards. I love hearing the announcements on the radio, not Christian stations, but a station like yours say, God bless and good night, but using the word God.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to eat in restaurants without masks on. And in fact, the last gas station I stopped at outside Springfield, I forgot my mask. And the guy said, don't worry, we don't follow Pritzker's stuff down here in Springfield. So, and
Ironic, it's Springfield. He lives there, right? Oh, no. He lives in Wisconsin, then Florida, then the North Shore. Yeah, I forgot. Well, listen, Kara, you give us all hope. At least you can move away. What's 40 acres in Missouri? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to be specific. Give me a ballpark price for 40 acres in Missouri.
Guess what? $40,000 near Rolla, Missouri.
Really?
Fishing, hunting.
Look at that.
It's lovely there near Rolla, Missouri. Come on down.
All right, there you go. We got an invite. I'll see you on Tuesday. How's that? Don't be making offers you can't live up to. Gene, Plainfield.
Hey, I am from Albany, New York originally. I live in Plainfield, Illinois right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I am 66 years old. And when I was in high school in Albany, New York, we used to walk from my Catholic high school down to the Capitol building because we were marching in support of school choice. That was back in the late 60s and the early 70s. So this
it's hopeless, isn't it, Jane? It's just hopeless, isn't it? Especially in these Democrat states.
I know, but I hope that it's not hopeless because I do truly believe, as a retired teacher, that teachers' unions are destroying us. And I also believe that the kids need to be in school.
And you know something, Gene? The nice thing I had in my own life experience, I went to a public grade school and a private high school. And I sent my kids to private grade schools in college. you just see in their face, it is their vocation. Those teachers, those teachers are there because they love it and they want to impact a child's life. It is the mere opposite when you see teachers sitting from Mount High saying we're not going back to school to risk our health for anybody. And by the way, we need a pay increase, we need rent protection, and a little walking around cash. You almost have to be in awe of their audacity, but I'm more disgusted with the pushback from the public. I think it's to a point where the public feels lucky to have this for free. And at that point, Gene, to me, you're a Soviet society. You know.
Well, I agree. And one other quick thing. My last 2 years teaching, I had kids who had severe peanut allergies. And I also had 2 kids that were severe diabetics. So they ate all day long. I taught music, so I had every kid in the school in my classroom throughout the week. I had to wipe my classroom down after every single class, and I ran 6 to 8 classes a day of different kids. Every period I had to wipe my classroom down. Guess what? It wasn't a huge deal.
Well, of course not, because you liked what you did. And here's the other thing. Beware the teacher that wants to be paid for doing things they should be doing anyways. I feel like it's no coincidence the schools with the strongest union produce and provide the worst education and the worst results. Because
that's right.
Why else would these charter schools be $30,000 a year in Chicago? Why else would there be lists for all of this? I want to thank you so much for listening. If I didn't get to your call, Steve, Joe, Paula, Al, call in tomorrow. And by the way, kid, don't let me forget, Pittsburgh launching guaranteed income program. We're going to talk about this tomorrow and many more. We don't pussyfoot around. This is full contact political talk radio. It's not about party. It's about right, wrong, and freedom.